Sweet.
Yes, there we go. All right, cool. Because it was coming in like, her mic was just coming in on the left ear.
Yeah.
And then this mic was just coming in on the right ear. Apparently what happened to this was it died. It had been sitting around for so long. I had to put new batteries in it so everything reset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My buddy had it set up perfect, but you want to speak into that real quick? There we go.
I am king of the mountain, baby.
All right, Bobby, you want to kick it off?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're recording whenever.
All right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, folks. This is the Toasted Bunny Podcast with your host, Bobby Bravo, Chuck Charles. We are finally here and happy and amazed to have the show's friend, Jessica Haessly, proprietor of the Meditation Well podcast on Spotify. Feel free to say hello, my friend.
Hello.
It is very good to have you here. We are very excited to get to this. So what I'm going to start is tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I first originally got into yoga as just an alternative way to do fitness. So I've always been into fitness. My dad is a fitness instructor, self-defense instructor, and so I've done things like Taibo. I don't know if you remember.
Billy Banks, baby, yeah!
My mom had all those VHSs. We did really that way back in the day when he was on the beach doing his, we are having fun in the sun.
Yeah.
So I've always been into fitness, and it was just a different way for me to move my body. And then I started to recognize and acknowledge the meditative aspects of the practice of yoga when I got into my first studio class. And as soon as I had my first studio class, I immediately signed up for the teacher training. So 2016, went through my first teacher training and started the story.
Okay. So educate our audience for those who are not versed. Can you go through some of the different types of yoga that there are?
Sure. So a lot of times people talk about lineages. I'm not super well versed to all of the different lineages of yoga.
Right.
But the idea behind it from its inception was, first of all, it was only for men in India, and it was kind of guru to students.
Really?
So it was, yeah.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Way back in the day. So, in fact, recently I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were like, you don't need to twist yourself into a pretzel for yoga. That was made for skinny boys back in the day, right? Like, this is not what the practice is anymore. It's been well adapted to all bodies. And one of the first people to help adapt it to all bodies is a gentleman by the name of Iyengar, and he introduced props because he had missing limbs. He was very limited in his mobility, so he was like, how can I adapt this practice for my body? And he started introducing things like blocks or bricks, things like bolsters or pillows or cushions, things like this, straps, and the wall. So bringing in different things that you can do on the wall. So as far as lineages, I'm not super comfortable with that, but the style that I mostly learned was Vinyasa, which simply means moving.
Say that name again?
Vinyasa.
Vinyasa.
Yep.
Okay. I learned something today.
And with breath, aka sometimes also referred to as power yoga, but that gives it the impression that it has to be super fast. It doesn't have to be fast.
Right.
There's also hatha yoga or hatha yoga, which means sun moon. So that's bringing together active with restful movement. So that's generally movement that is a slow flow or slower still practice, where you hold some of the
props. My life is full of nothing but props. And puppets and like foam balloons all in my car. Like I love it. So one of the things as we were talking before, yoga is such a great art because it's literally for anyone, and the fact that you can adapt with all of those props and all of those styles. Is there one that you think is better than another for, say, the average beginner who's looking to get into yoga? Because hot yoga is, man, woo, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I wouldn't start with hot yoga.
Yeah.
And in fact, my philosophy on hot yoga is that it's not necessary.
Really?
Which is kind of blasphemous in some circles to say.
You're being controversial in the yoga world right now.
Already.
Start beef right now. I'm gonna get an anonymous message from some empowered employee sweating with her towel, asking if I want to go in the parking lot. You better be careful about the words you choose, my friend.
I do. Nothing wrong on the outset with hot yoga.
Okay.
It's something that I have loved to do in the past in the winter time. On to hot yoga is that it gets so warm that you think that your whole body is warmed up before it actually is.
Okay.
So that's where sometimes you get into spaces where you cause yourself injury because you're like, oh, I'm so warm. I must also be hurt.
Yeah.
But you're really not.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in a hot yoga class, slow movement, let your body really warm.
What do you think are the benefits of yoga as opposed to, like, you got your runners, your weightlifters, and all of that good stuff? Where does yoga come into play?
Yeah. So as a purely physical practice, which we call the poses, asanas, which just means postures, that's the Sanskrit for it. So from a purely physical perspective, it just gets you moving your body in a different way.
Yeah.
From a whole practice perspective, there's what we call the 8 limbs, which include things like concentration and meditation, things like paying attention to your energy, paying attention to how well are you taking care of yourself, so self-awareness, and then also others' awareness. How well are you aware of the space around you?
Right.
So as a whole body practice, there's numerous mental and physical health benefits to it. And a lot of research out there to suggest that it helps with things like focus, with things like decision making, and physically, because you're moving your spine in different ways, you're moving your body around your spine in different ways, you're also increasing your range of motion, so your ability to move your limbs around your joints with greater ability. You can also get into the muscle strengthening part of it. Most people think about yoga as a stretching practice. I've significantly adjusted the way that I teach to invite more strength, because we realize now that when it comes to pain, a lot of people experience pain in places that they're actually lacking a great deal of strength.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I focus on a lot of the back body work stuff, so getting into the low back, getting into your mid upper back, getting into your glutes, getting into your hamstrings, and strengthening those, and then lengthening the muscle tissue. So like really balancing that, because from like a biological kinesthesiology, like anatomy. Let's go with that. From an anatomy perspective, we really need that balance of both shortening our muscles and lengthening the muscle tissue. People think, oh, my low back hurts, I'm going to do a bunch of maybe you need spinal extensions, you maybe need more back bends and strengthening those muscles along the spine
Yeah.
to help alleviate that.
I think, like, you know, again, we were talking before, I had a back surgery, and it's been such a chaotic mess trying to figure out what route, who to go to, where to see. And like you said, am I going forward, or am I supposed to be bending backwards? Should I be doing some kind of cartwheel? I felt like I moved like a old 80s like action figure, you know what I mean? I had 2 motions and that was it. But I think it's again a journey that we have to invest in ourselves. We were talking before, a person is more prone to pay for food from McDonald's every week than they are to invest in their own body once a month, you know. And it's not just yoga, you know, going to the doctor, making sure that you're okay, the dentist, getting your vision, just things to help put you in a better position to have that machine, your temple, run a little bit better.
Yeah. And a lot of that is mindset.
Yes.
Right, like, I never want to shame anybody for where they're at.
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Because we understand that it takes a lot, especially with the group we get.
Yes.
It takes a lot of effort to change and to change the things that we're used to doing. And so what I try to emphasize is these baby steps.
Yeah.
People talk about, am I doing this right? Quote unquote, right? As long as you're, and certainly there's things that you can, you know, mess up your body doing. But I always say to people, as long as you're trying, you're doing yoga. Because it's about movement, it's about focus, and it's about, and as long as you're moving and focusing, and breathing.
Yeah.
Moving, focusing, and breathing, you're doing yoga.
I think you know, that mindset thing is so important. It's so absolutely important. Just convincing yourself that I don't want to say complacent, you know, because like you said, we are where we are, and every day is a start. But like convincing yourself that you deserve better and can do better, and that there's better for you. You know, we all go through our aches and pains as we get older, and I've seen so many people just like that's the way it is. Like, you know, we're stuck in the 1600s, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do to take care of that. So I just want to check out Chuck, man. He's sitting there. Say some stuff, man.
Well, I will. You're doing such a great job. I was letting you drive it for a little bit. Listening to, I've never done yoga before. I don't know if Bobby's tried, but I'm sure that's why he's here having this conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe he's thinking about it. But when you're talking earlier, when you first started off with yoga, you know, the origins of it for thinner, you know, from the guru to student type of situation in India, I was getting like, you ever play Street Fighter?
Yeah.
I was getting Dulcian vibes.
I probably have played it. That's that one that's like in the arcade.
Yeah.
And he bends over and his arms like extend like 4 feet and stuff like that. I was getting Dulcian vibes, but no, it's just very interesting because I think the average person, when they think of yoga, there's one.
Yeah.
Yoga is yoga, right?
No, absolutely.
Now, you said there's different variations that you're not familiar
There's
with?
different styles and there's different lineages.
Lineages, that's what it was, yeah.
Individuals where each of the different styles come from.
Ah,
And
gotcha,
they go to
okay.
lineages because they're passed down from generation to generation.
Okay, that makes sense. And I mean, Bobby was asking great questions off the top about, you know, what would you recommend for a beginner? And I liked how, you know, you said, well, might want to cater it to a certain person or start, you know, basic or whatever, but also the strength training part, because what you said, you know, people are just like, it's stretching and this and that, but strength training with it, you know, stretching the muscles after a while. And then also what was also blowing my mind, the fact that how many people be like, oh, this hurts, and they bend the opposite way because they think that's what's helping.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things here that I'm writing down in my mind where I'm like, I've done all of these things.
All of them. All of them.
Yep, we all have.
Yeah.
I've done them all, and you said in 2016 is when you went and got certified for it. So you've been doing this about 8 years. And how long have you had your own, I guess, practice? Is that what you would call this?
I've had my own business since 2016.
Okay, since 2016. So it's not necessarily a practice because that's like such a medical term, right? It's a business because I guess it's...
So it's both.
Is it both?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Because I do have my business, and I call it a business because sometimes people like to say, well, what do you do for your quote-unquote real job? Which I do have another job,
Okay.
and I always specify, well, my other job is such and such, but this is just as real.
Absolutely.
As that other job.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Also, I think the term practice might intimidate some people, you know, because it's like regular doctors are practice, you know, like, you know, maybe.
See, and I hadn't thought about it that way before. I had thought of practice as more welcoming and inclusive because then you can say you're just practicing something rather than having to get it right away. That this is lifelong. It's a lifelong journey because our bodies are changing literally second to second.
Yeah.
So
Ain't gotta tell me.
So you may be a rock star at balance one day, and then the very next day, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, how come I can't balance? And so many different factors come into play there.
I guess I've always considered a practice to mean like you're always getting better.
Yeah.
You're always improving. You're just like a martial artist, just like a doctor. Anything that you keep practice at, you improve, and it's the practice of improving yourself.
Yeah.
You know, again, as somebody who's gone through those physical problems, and yes, my extensive yoga record is 1.5 times.
hey, that's more than me.
You notice those aches. It's like you said, though. You feel it on the right side, so you turn left. You know what I mean? You run away from that, and that definitely doesn't help. Like anything else you do, relationship, family, or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing that you were mentioning earlier about like how it can help with decision making and like centering yourself. And all I could think about was, well, doesn't somebody have to be patient in the beginning? Like, hopefully, if they want to get better, they get more patient. But I can only imagine somebody who's not patient that starts doing this. It's kind of like, you know what? I tried it. I'm done. I'm out. You know, that type of thing, because they're not seeing the results right away.
Yeah.
But they have to be pushed to see that, and then eventually they're like, we're centered and all that. Me myself, I'm not a very patient man all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I'd be willing, you know, that type of thing.
Some people like that instant gratification.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Where, you know, I know that I know that I've dropped a bunch of weight once in my life, putting in that dedication, you know, and I've gone to the gym several times, you know, and speaking of body aches, I did leg day for the first time yesterday, and then I took 9.25 mile bike ride today, and my knees are screaming at me, so I'm kind of like, all right, what do I do to help that then instead of doing the opposite? About that.
Yeah. So many runners I talk to are like, oh yeah, I don't really stretch. And so, right, again, and it's not about like the stretching, I'm not emphasizing, but it's if you're going to strengthen something, you also have to lengthen it. So it's about balance or finding harmony in your body. And in fact, yoga means to yoke, which means unity. So you're finding unity among in the philosophical practice, among your body, mind, and spirit or soul, the higher self, however you want to.
So getting yoked in yoga means a completely different thing than when, like, when people are in the gym, they're like, I'm getting yoked! And
I'm united!
Yeah, and they're shaped like a piece of pizza because they don't focus on leg day. All right? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. I was thinking the same thing, and I'm so glad that you beat me to it. Because I'm like, exactly, getting yoga. Oh, dude, I've been getting united this whole time. I didn't know I was building brick walls, baby.
Well, that's
Let's
so
go.
funny that you talk about the shape like a pizza, right? Because like, especially guys, and I can see this, 'cause I heard this from my dad back in the day when he was young. He was talking about the ego that's in the gym, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
how everybody focuses on a lot of men focus on their upper body. Well, in yoga, what's different is that so many of the poses focus on the lower body and strengthening hips and thighs and legs and abs and back a little bit, and so I try to bring a balance of that. So I try to do like if we're going to be in a warrior two position where your legs are wide apart, one foot is pointing away, and that foot, your heel is perpendicular to your back foot. Yeah, maybe you have to see a shape of it.
I might have to re-look up what perpendicular means.
Right, exactly.
Like,
So
what?
you're in this wide-legged stance. Your torso is okay. You're in this wide-legged stance. One foot is turned out, and one foot is turned about 90 degrees. So try to visualize that.
Will you
Your
put
arms
your
are open out to a T. So like, let's say your right foot is the leading foot. Let's say you're on the yoga mat. Your right foot is facing the short edge of your mat. Your left toes are facing the long. Let's try it that way. And then you open your arms out to a T. And what I like to do is have people bring their arms out in front of their chest, out in front of them, and do some pulls, do some rows.
Yeah.
So like pull back. Or get into cactus arms, bending your elbows 90, your elbows about shoulder height, and then close your arms, engaging your chest muscles.
Yeah.
So like some of that upper body work along with the lower.
I can only imagine that your next move is left arm yellow after all of that, right? Is that
Yoga twister. That sounds fun.
that might have to be a thing. I don't know if that's trademarked or not.
I thought this man was gonna make a hokey pokey joke too. No, I love what you're saying though. You know, the upper body, the glamour muscles, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's what a lot of people or a lot of dudes focus on. And I love that it's it's a balance. It's got to be everything in life, everything, and I think that's what yoga brings is like balance of mind, body, spirit, and then hopefully you can bring that into the real world and try to balance the universe because there's a lot of imbalance right now. I'll tell you that.
So, all right, now let's get on to the controversial hot topic that we've been. Let's talk about your podcast, the Meditation Well. What made you decide to start a podcast?
So one of the things, it's part of the reason why I started teaching yoga, which is that people have told me forever, we have a great reading. Back when I went to church, I would read a scripture, right? Like, oh, you spirit, see it, so part of it comes out of that. So it's just like a natural thing. I started the meditation well last August, and it just made sense. This would be really easy to do. Write a script, 2 to 10 minute long meditations, write a script, record it. And I'm using my voice, I'm using my thing that I've been gifted from the heavens and the universe and whatever you want to
It
call
is
it.
very, very soothing.
Thank you.
For whatever reason, when I sync my phone up in my car, that podcast comes on its own, and it's always the same episode. And I'm like, all right, man, I better pull over and get to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I am. I don't like to say it this way, but I am a little bit behind on the meditation now. I should probably be at episode 118 or something at this point, and right now we're still only at 97 episodes.
Yeah, I'm like.
You'll find something, but yeah. So I gotta get back to it. But I've been, as you know, I do so many other things.
Yeah, and we are definitely gonna hit that. Like, it's crazy that episode that it's stuck on. is episode 96.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know I was so close to like the pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. I might have to. How often do you record?
So when I'm doing it right.
Yeah,
when
which
I'm
is
on
hectic,
time.
super hectic.
So I publish them 3 times a week.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I usually record on Sundays. However, and I write over the weekend. So I write over the weekend or sometime during the week, and then record usually also over the weekend. I've been asked to be the volunteer coordinator for the Mandala Yoga Festival, which is the very first yoga festival ever in the East Wisconsin.
Really?
Happening, yep, June 30th in Pierce Park in Appleton.
Let's go.
Yes, please go. So I've been focusing my attention mostly on that, and then I recently got my aqua yoga certification. So we're hanging out by a pool over here, and all I'm thinking about is, I wonder if any of you do some aqua this year. So I've been recently certified to teach yoga in a pool, and I'll be teaching that at the pool over the summer.
What is a mandala celebration?
So the Mandala Yoga Festival is, it's founded by a fellow yoga teacher, her name is Danita, and I think her business is called Mandala Flow, Mandala Energy Flow, I think it's called.
Shout out to Danita.
Yes. So if you're familiar with the mandala, it's the circular design.
Okay, yes.
And so usually it has many different colors, many different shapes within that circular design. So again, kind of representing this idea of unity and harmony and balance. And so what was the question?
I guess
What is
just
it?
in like informing the type of things that you do at the festival and what all goes on.
Yeah, so this is the very first time that any of us has organized something at this level, but it's a free festival, open to the public. It's going to go from 9 to 9. So all day long, you'll get to try out different teachers' styles of yoga. There's going to be a kids tent, so families are welcome to join and introduce their children to the movement or the practices. There'll be some music. There'll be a little bit of food here, I think, at the early on, and about half of the day there'll be some food, some breakfast and coffee.
And when will you be there? Plug yourself, hype yourself
Yeah,
up.
so I don't have my teacher schedule yet.
Okay.
But I will be teaching in addition to managing all the volunteers. But I'll be there all day.
Okay.
Because I'll be helping the volunteers figure out where they need to be and making sure that
And we want to definitely give a shout out to the meditation well. If you had like a mission statement, if you had something that you wanted to say that you're about with that podcast, what is it that you want to accomplish with that?
Guided meditation for busy minds and busy lives.
Okay. That's pretty legit. Straightforward. I like that, man.
So I guess I have one last question. I don't know how much longer we can go, but would you say this would be, because in the last 4 years especially, there's been a huge movement on mental health. Would this be beneficial along with, if you're going to counseling, you would definitely say, hey, give yoga a try as well?
100%.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, you got to plug that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, in April, I think it was, I got my mental health first aid certification.
Oh, wow, okay.
Which certifies me to be a support. It was basically just a 2-day-long, full-day education on what is mental health mean,
Yeah.
what are mental health illnesses,
Yeah.
and then how can you be a support. So I am officially certified to be a support to anyone that is struggling with their own mental health. And I have my own mental health. So I have depression. I've struggled with grief and mourning. I've had my own journey of figuring out, okay, this sucks, right? Like something happened.
right, yes.
Then you have to get to that place of acceptance. I'm super angry. I'm super sad about this. And then hopefully get to a place where you have some support, and then you can start saying, okay, I want to turn my mind around. How do I do that? And so I believe the more tools that we add to our arsenal of
The more we
body,
can, the more we can implement.
the more that we can say, okay, this isn't working today, but maybe this is. So sometimes the meditation isn't going to work. I can't sit still. I can't we're never going to shut off our brain unless we're dead. So don't think that meditation is shutting off your brain. It's
Keep
not.
the light on.
Keep it on. Don't go toward the light. Be the light.
Amen. Be the light.
I might have to give my mind and my knees some yoga.
Yeah,
then,
man.
I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes the meditation works, sometimes movement works, sometimes just talking to a friend works, sometimes getting out in nature works. And so having more things, sometimes getting in water works, the more things that you have access to, the more you're able to say, okay, this didn't work today, what else can I do?
Yes.
What else?
Yes. And I appreciate that you said that so much, because a lot of people who specialize in something often think or come around to the conclusion that that's the one-all be-all, that's the fix. And I like that you say that there's different avenues, and what works today might not be it tomorrow, but to keep trying, to keep grinding and try and find your way is always important. You should always keep adapting to it. And speaking of things near and dear, you are also pretty active in your community and whatnot. So tell me some of the things that you are involved in.
So we can go here because I'm half black, half white.
Okay.
For a long time, I didn't care about my race. I did not consider it a part of my identity. There's so much more to me than the color of my skin or
Absolutely.
my ancestry, my experience. However, in recent years, I have also recognized I carry racially ambiguous personality, by which I mean most people don't know what I am, so they may judge me based on what they assume I might be, but usually I'm not getting that racially charged judgment toward me, but I have a middle sister who has, and she's a little bit darker skin, curlier hair, and so I recognize over the last, actually probably 2020, before that, with a lot of racially charged stuff, all of the religion that's happening, unrest, all of this things that are happening, I started to recognize, no, actually, this is an important thing for me to acknowledge, that I am a woman of color, and that I also carry some amount of privilege in, where people don't necessarily know what I am.
To be able to have that ambiguity, kind of,
And so what I've been doing is getting myself more into, so what I started with was connecting more with my dad's side of the family. And most of them live in Virginia and so last year we came to Atlanta. A few years back we took a trip to Virginia, and I just connected more with that side of my family. It's such a rewarding experience. Like, oh my gosh, these people are amazing, and they're all about, like there's no entitlement where I have seen that, not to,
put one side against the other, compare.
but
Yeah,
like I
absolutely.
have seen on my mom's side of the family,
Yeah.
and then a little bit of entitlement.
Yeah.
And that's the white side. You already have the privilege.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
It was just very interesting to see like the difference. And again, not to say that so many people, like people across races, have your people that are ethnicities, races, nationalities, all of that.
Yeah.
You have your people that work hard. But what I noticed in my dad's side of the family is that it's very much about well, what are you passionate about? What are your talents and gifts?
Yeah.
How can we
Yeah.
it's all about what's smart
How can we win?
happen for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So now here in Appleton, I learned recently that Appleton was a sundown town
Yes.
back between about 1930s, 1960s, where it wasn't a law technically in the books, but it was known that black people were not allowed to stay overnight and actually the city that way.
Yeah. It's so wild. It's so wild.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
Yep. And so, to me, I'm like, okay, so this means that in 1970, isn't that long ago? This means that there are people that have either left or that still are in the area of them going back and have had upstairs. So I have been involved a little bit. I've gone to Black professionals networking that started in February.
That's what's up.
Shout out to people at Progression.
Shout out.
Yeah, so they started that group where they at Color Club every third, they call it third Thursdays. So third Thursdays from 5 to 7, 5 to 7:30. At Color Club, Black professionals, certainly the bar is still open to the public.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Black professionals are encouraged to connect with one another.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, in a space that is supportive. And what I've noticed was so interesting about that is, oh shoot, there's actually fucking black professionals. And the reason I say it that way is because I haven't seen that in the other networking or a lot.
It's so few and far in between.
Yeah, in some of the other networking spaces like that.
Yeah.
So my goal is to start bridging that gap.
Yeah.
In this very unique position of being black and white, I fit, I pass, I fit into all these different spaces.
Yeah.
So how can I use my power and privilege to bridge this gap
Yeah.
and get more people who look like us into these spaces where we're maybe not truly accepted?
And I think that's very important that you said bridge the gap, because I mean, anybody that's getting mad out there, it's not to exclude you whatsoever. It's to figure out how we can all come in this together. And equity and equality aren't the same thing, and you have to take a step back and see how can we bring everyone up, everyone that might not have had the same start, the same background, the same advantages, and make it beneficial for everyone.
Well, and you even see that in the nature world, in like with trees. When you have more diverse ecology, same in our social and economic spaces, when you have more diversity in like different grasses, different trees, different crops growing, things become stronger. The environment becomes stronger, and that's the same as in our human spaces.
Yeah.
The more diversity of thought, the more, and right, diversity isn't just about color of skin, it's also about like different ideas and different ways of thinking, different perspectives. We all have a story.
Yes.
We all have a story. And so the more diversity of all kinds you bring into the space, when you can be open to it, the stronger you can make that.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about.
This is slightly off subject, but when you were down south, did you happen to go to the cookout?
The cookout?
The cookout.
The cookout. Is it a place?
It's a vibe, sis. You were invited to the cookout. That's where we congregate and hang out and invite our other friends to come out and just, take a taste. No raisins in the potato salad, of course, but, everybody's welcome. It's usually, for us, it's always been we're family you haven't seen I'm from the South. I was born in the South, raised in Wisconsin. But whenever we went down there, it didn't matter how far in between you did. It was a place where you can come together, feed your family, love your family, congregate, and just have a time, you know what I mean? Every cookout felt like a reunion because it was all love, from the food to the jokes to somebody's grandma getting drunk and talking crazy. You know what I mean? It's just a laid back time because life is hard enough as it is. And there are a lot of obstacles that you have to face in order to get where you are. And sometimes it's nice to be around people who just accept you for who you are, where you are. It doesn't matter what you look like, what you sound like, any of that. It's just important that you are.
Yeah, so food was a big thing. When I visited Virginia a couple years ago, I actually visited for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it was a big deal. And
we eat, man.
and it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. And that aspect of it was not too different from here, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's from my mom's side.
Yeah.
It's like food, and really so many spaces. Right?
Yeah.
Like food is what we gather around. It's a way to break the ice. Another thing, which I generally don't do shots. Shots are usually bad news beers for me. I do not. There's a certain limit where there's a certain space where I turn from like a super loving drunk to like a super emotional angry drunk, and shots is usually the thing.
Oh.
However, I did one tequila shot with my family because it was a thing that we did.
Yeah.
We did their tequila shots for the holidays, and so we did that. And then when I got a Wonder Woman tattoo from one of my cousins in Atlanta last year. Yeah. And there somebody brought the course in. So we passed the course in.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Wait, so, I just want to touch on a couple of things. I never knew about the sundown thing. I've only lived in this area for about 12 years. Never knew that was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
But also doubling back on that, you said there was a lot of people that were probably held down from that rule. Thinking about, there's probably some people that still live around here that believe that rules should still exist on the other side of things, which, bridging the gap will hopefully help, but that might take the next generation to get through. Also, did you say no raisins in potato salad?
No, dude.
Who puts raisins in their potato salad?
I've seen it on a TikTok or something.
Never mind. I ain't messing with that potato salad, man, okay? I'm all about the food. I wish we could... Let's bridge some of those foods together. I want some pork stuffing. I want some mac and cheese. I want all these, I want all these things, man. I'll have ribs at Thanksgiving. I don't care, whatever.
Dude, absolutely.
So that's a great... There's no better way to bridge cultures together than with food. I was part of a diversity inclusion group at work, and I took a course. No, it was like a seminar at the Fox City. No, I was actually at the Radisson. No, what is that called now? It's a little old Paper Valley
Been
hotel.
like 5 hotels.
Yeah. Anyway, it's like downtown College Avenue, whatever. And that group that you're talking about, the black business owners, or yeah. I took one of those courses because you could pick and choose what courses you wanted to do throughout the day, and I chose specifically to go to that course just because I wanted to see what it was, their end of things, to see. And then they were throwing out all these statistics, and I was like, huh? I was flabbergasted because, I'm all inclusive. To me, it doesn't matter. If I vibe with you, I vibe with you. If I don't, then it's not meant to be. But just to see how it's not even about that, it's just systematic. Yeah, and it blew my mind. It was very depressing, actually. As a white guy, here I am, just living all through this white privilege. I didn't even know it, that type of thing. And it was just very eye-opening in my late 30s here. And it's fun to know that you're, trying to bridge that gap. And I guess my only my only advice would be like, let's do it with food.
Yeah.
Let's try to do
Let's
it
have
like
a party,
that, you know?
man. Let's have a party.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not here about like trying to make people feel bad about a history that they were not a part of.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
Absolutely.
This isn't about white people. This isn't about you know, shaming people into anything.
Right.
You can't. Like,
Nah.
nobody wants to be told what to do or what to think. But what my hope is to inspire people, motivate people, and empower people just to think a little bit about, well, what do I get to do that maybe other people might not in the space that I live? Or why does the makeup of this particular networking event look like this as opposed to being more, right? And some of it has to do with the fact that we do live right now we're in Cambridge, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We do live in a predominantly white area.
Yeah.
But how can we start to invite and actually go into those spaces that are not predominantly white, just to broaden our perspective?
I think if we all just took a step back and realized that struggle knows no color,
Yeah.
you know, we could band together and make each other better. And also, you know, you're not here to guilt shame anyone. It just, I don't know if you ever watched Saved by the Bell, but there was like,
I know. Yeah,
But there's like an
I was not one
episode-
of those people. I just didn't get into it.
but there was like
I
an
know.
episode where Jesse Spano was like super guilty because of Lisa's culture, and then you get those people who try to like overcompensate
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
guilt. Let's not do that either, because
Yeah.
then it just feels like you're almost doing it as a favor. So
Yeah.
because of your guilt, so like accept
You
the
get
fact.
Malibu's most wanted.
Yeah, you know, like accept the fact that you weren't a part of it, but you can change it going forward as this generation, and then shape it for the generations after.
Yeah, and I had a situation with that back in the day. My husband and I were at that mall. I don't know. This might have actually been before we were married. So we were very young, and
Shout out to the hubs.
yes, and we were walking around. That's back when they had those surveys, those people taking surveys. I don't know if they still have that. But like you'd be walking around and they'd be like come up to you and ask, hey, do you want to take this survey? We'll give you $7, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we had some time, and we're like, oh sure, I'll take the survey. Well, at the end, one of the ladies had just wrote down that it was white, right? And then the other lady was like, oh wait, what race are you? I was like, well, I'm black and white. Like, I personally didn't feel that I did.
Right.
But so then she was like, you should be proud of your race. And I was like, see, this is not what I need. Like, I don't need you to tell me.
Like, right. Now that you mention it, I guess maybe, yeah.
I feel pretty strong as a person without needing to have that like
Yeah. Like, is that a part of the survey? Like,
You're like, make it 14.
But on the other side of it, it's like, people wonder what I have, and somebody the other day was like, oh, I just thought that you were that. And I'm like, well, that's not good language either.
yeah, right?
What does that even mean?
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
it's just about awareness.
Yeah.
Self-awareness, other awareness, and what kind of language are you using? Just being open to learning. That's
Well, we think that what you are is a badass human being, and we love that and appreciate it. So this wind's kicking up. If you had, again, plug yourself, plug your practice, and plug your podcast.
Yeah. So, Jess, Meditation Well. My business is Yoga Story, and I'll throw you my Yoga Story mission statement. The purpose of Yoga Story is to inspire empowerment through yoga, mindfulness, and empowered mindset change.
guests from Chuck and I and the Toasted Bunny podcast. We definitely want to thank you for coming on. We do want to have you on again because we want to know what else you're into, man. Movies, lifestyle, stuff like that. We want to find out the other half of what you're all about. But for me, thank you again, and I will let Chuck say his parting words from it.
Yeah, again, thank you. Opened my eyes to the world of yoga and everything about your background. Also, I just want to let people know that if they have any questions involving Jess, to drop them in the comments.
Yes.
Because the next time that we get together, we can bring those up, and then it'll be kind of like a Q&A, but for the listeners that might have a different angle than we do. So I think that'd be a great way to do it. Bob, you want to sign off?
Yeah. Again, thank you folks for tuning in to the Toasted Bunny podcast. I love you. I don't know what our tag out. I was thinking of something like Bunny or something like that. I don't know yet. Maybe we'll do some yoga and figure it out. I promise I'm going to get Chuck into a yoga class. Maybe we'll film it and see how it goes. You are a blessing, and we owe you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. And we can't wait to have it again, and I can't wait to put this out. Like, this was everything we could ask for and more. So, from us to you, welcome to the family, my friend. Yeah. Let's go. Later, you guys. Oh, dude, that was sweet.